Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well on this very fine Friday afternoon. Raf Black Rad's in the building, so good afternoon.
Hi, how you doing, Dan?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Very good. Just like be back at the City Ground watching Forest. Hopefully, get a positive result because it's much needed after the last game.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's nice to have 3 home games now, and especially after the Arsenal rules. So hopefully we can bounce back now with against Brentford tomorrow.
Yeah, 3 games in a row before the World Cup, obviously. 2 vital league games and a cup game against Spurs, which I think would be a totally different kind of match, even though it's against the hardest team on paper. I think it would probably be. I don't think it would be anything like the league game against Spurs. I think it would be very rotated, but focusing on Brentford, they're a very good team. They've acclimatised to the Premier League very well last season and this season. They're not actually on the best form. They haven't won for 3 games. So, yeah, I think I suppose you could play that to our advantage, but we've been in this situation before this season. It didn't go very well when we said that. So I think we just got to just take it game by game, as Cooper and football people say. But I think it's an accurate way of doing it. Don't really read into it too much. Just try and win each individual game. Obviously, Brentford, like I say, good team. Without Ivan Toney, they've still got danger points though, so we've got to be wary of them. I think it's a bit of a similar situation in ways to the Fulham and Bournemouth matches, where we went into it feeling quite confident, and then it went pretty awfully wrong. I don't think Brentford are as bad as those two technically, given the fact that they're not newly promoted. And same with the Palace game in ways, but we can't be thinking like that. Every game's just as hard as each other, really, unless it's like Man City or something. So it'll be interesting. It's a huge opportunity. It's a game we need to be really winning. We need to win at least one of these next 2 league games before the World Cup. Otherwise, it isn't, a foregone conclusion that we'll be relegated, but it will make it a bit bleak for, like 6 weeks without Forest playing, seeing as 20th potentially. You don't really want that. We want to at least be in a fighting chance. It'll be hopefully a very good game and a positive game. And we'll see something a bit like what we saw against Liverpool and Brighton, really. And just hope that Arsenal was a major blip because it was Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now it seemed to set that bar now with them performances. Last week seemed to it was a bit of a kick in the teeth with the hard work that we have put in. So hopefully now that they know the standard that they set, that they can keep to that standard now, which they know that they can play to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think Arsenal, there was lots to contend with, really. Away at the Emirates, I think was a totally different kind of game to us. At home to Liverpool or anyone, we know how powerful our games can be at home. So we've got to take that to our advantage, really. So I think Arsenal, really, it was. I don't like the turn 3 hit, but it certainly didn't work in our favour, obviously. So I'm hoping we do get something a bit like what we did against Liverpool. And obviously, there have been games this season where it's been a bit flat. Fulham and Bournemouth, like I mentioned, the crowd were really up for it. Like the team seemingly weren't either. Villa, I think there was an improvement in atmosphere and performance. So if we get anything even like that, I think we've got a fighting chance again. Because even though it was really bad for those 5 games that we lost, we bounced back. It wasn't a win v Villa, but it was a draw. It was improvement for sure. We were quite unlucky against Wolves. It was still a bad result given how bad they're playing this season. And obviously beating Liverpool and drawing Brighton was, I think, seeing Brighton at the weekend against Chelsea, it really sums up that was a really good point away at Brighton. Arsenal was always going to be very, very tough, but it was still, I've seen a lot of people saying you can take losing, but not in that manner. Like the manner in which we lost was really poor, really disappointing. Even 5-0, you can take losing if there's some kind of string of hope and fight. Whereas we just went back to type, didn't we? Like we did against Fulham and Leicester and Bournemouth to a point where we just considered a load in one go and it was just game over. And you can't do that in the Prem. So hopefully we do cut that out as soon as possible. And yeah, we can't take Brentford too easily. They're a very good team. They can easily beat us if we're not on it. So yeah, we've got to be on it to get a result. Really, like you have in every game.
Yeah, definitely, and I couldn't agree more. Then, and as you said, Brentford they've got some danger players. I mean, the second season in the Premier League as well, so they're quite established as well. So hopefully, Forest can match that
Mm.
level.
Yeah, I think Brentford and teams like Brighton and Palace, Villa, but not so much because they've been a bit underperforming. I think those kind of teams are teams that we need to be aiming to try and be like. I guess if we want to be, win the Premier League, we want to try and do as well as possible. I think with Forest, it would be an absolute dream to see us back in European football, but we've got to be realistic. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think most Forest fans would just like to see us be an established Premier League club again. And I think if you look at, I think Brighton's a fantastic example. They weren't even that good the first couple of seasons in the Prem, but they were solid enough to survive. And obviously, they then got Potter and slowly but surely built up into a side that came ninth last season. And
Mm.
before he left, they were in the top four, I believe. And they've had a bit of a rocky start under De Zerbi, but you've seen how they beat Chelsea. So they're still a very good team. And I just feel we should be trying to strive to be a team like Brighton. You've got a young, exciting manager in Cooper. Brighton are still in a similar kind of situation with De Zerbi, definitely in the squad as well. I think Brentford are another team like that. They're obviously further behind than Brighton, but I do feel that it will be a real good model for us because I don't really think at any stage since Brentford have been up, they've really struggled at the bottom end. They've been quite comfortably in the league the whole time, and I think Brentford fans will be very content with that, and I think Forest fans certainly would be. So yeah, I think two very good role models really for us to try and aim to be like. I think we'd all love that really. But yeah, we've got to try and beat them obviously at the weekend. That's first things foremost.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, listening to Cooper's pre-match, I say it was quite good to hear that they're still quite positive, even though he confirmed Binakune and Richards are
Mm.
out for the season. It's
Mm.
still quite positive to see that they aren't downhearted about it all. Like they are thinking positive about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cooper's Mr. Positive, isn't he? Even in the lowest moments, he's trying to find the positives, which is exactly what you should do. And I just I couldn't have any more respect for Cooper for what he's done for us, obviously. But you see managers like Klopp, they come out, they lose one game, and they're just making excuses left, right, and centre. Whereas Cooper, I don't think I've ever seen him make a really stupid excuse. If it is an excuse, it's probably got a bit of logic behind it. And that's why he's such a good manager. One of the many reasons. Um, but yeah, you can't really fault him in that regard, really. But
Yeah, that,
sorry, like you said, I forgot what your question was. It was always about Biancon, wasn't it?
yeah, and
Um,
Richards, yeah.
yeah, it's really sad about Biancon. He hardly got a go. He looked quite good when he was on the pitch, and he just gets out for the season, which is a horrific look. And I do feel very bad for him. Obviously, Richards has been with us since like July, and he's not even been seen anywhere. So hopefully we can see Richards at some point, but I think it's still going to be quite a way off before we do. God knows what he's done. I don't think anyone really knows what he's done. So yeah, we want to see Richards at some point, but it is a real shame about Biancon. I mean, for all we know, like he may never play for us now because if we get relegated, he may be one of the players that leaves. I mean, we don't want to think like that, but he may possibly leave if it's a big subject. Obviously, if we get relegated, what happens to the squad? Is it going to be another overhaul of players? Unfortunately, probably yes, it will be. It could be one that stays. I mean, hopefully for his sake and for our sake it will be, because we would like to see Bianco actually play for Forest, regularly
Yeah,
at some point. And hopefully he can come back before the end of the season. Maybe he might get better quicker than we thought. But yeah, it's really sad about him and Richards even as well.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it weren't quality news about.
No, bad quality.
Um, you have to get that one out. um, now we haven't got a sponsor yet,
No,
which is it's another thing
yeah,
in TFTV
but
with us. And good afternoon, Mr. Patrick. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Brentford got that sort of model at the club. I mean, since they've been in the Championship and Warburton left, it sort of like built and built and built, and that's why they look so comfortable in the Premier League because they stuck with their manager for so long now, and he's got them playing his way, and they just built a model that it's built really, really well. To be fair, like you said earlier about Brighton's done it, and they became well established, and Brentford seemed to like done one better than Brighton and actually not looked worried about going down. Down, they looked quite a mid-table Premier League team.
yeah, I think in Brighton's first season up, actually, I think they just survived relegation. Whereas, like you say, I think Brentford they weren't at all last season in danger of going down. Really, like I was quite surprised when I saw a few calls at the start of the season that they might go back down again, because I thought they just looked really solid. Like maybe it might have been a Sheffield United situation where they obviously exceeded all expectations, even more than Brentford did, and then obviously awful the next season. But I don't think we're seeing that from Brentford. Like they're inconsistent, but they get enough good results. They get some very good results, against
Mm.
Man United, Leeds. They've been very big this season, and I agree when we're talking about models. I think Brentford are a perfect example of that, and it's something that teams coming up should try and strive to be like, in my opinion. Because I still think Brentford can get even better, and I don't really know what they're probably their goal is just to stay in the Premier League at the very least, and then try and work upwards. And that's some really good players in their side. I think they signed really well in the summer. But if we're going back a bit, I think one of the reasons why Forest are struggling in the Premier is obviously the fact we had to sign so many. And Brentford didn't have to do that, because if you saw the way they came up, like it actually took them several years to get over the line in that playoff final the year before they lost it. And I think that the 3 seasons before or something, they were quite close to getting promoted. Whereas Forest, it was just right down here to all the way up here, and it was one extreme to the other, and that meant
Mm.
that our squad wasn't really good enough. That obviously we all know the situation with the squad last season, and Brentford didn't need to do that, and that's continuity. And I think the continuity's been huge for Brentford. The fact that they haven't really had to change that much at the side. I mean, I'd say I don't know the team inside out, but the
Mm.
team is quite similar to the one that got promoted. I mean, they've obviously signed quite a few at this stage, but there's still quite a few names in there that were in the Championship with them, and you look at them now, they're doing really well. And that's something that Forest don't have, which I think may be a reason why it might take longer for us if we are to be a success in this division. But yeah, I think it's quite clear that obviously we need to strive to be like Brentford potentially in the future, or just use the same kind of model. Just be patient and just let it, try and even itself out, and you can be a success in the top flight. It's not an easy thing to do.
Mm. Definitely. I mean, what would you expect from the side tomorrow? I mean,
Mm.
would you change too much knowing that we lost, or would you keep it sort of similar? I mean, we all know what Cooper's like with being a creature of habit with his team, so.
Yeah. I mean, he's changed it a bit recently, I suppose, changing the formation, taking Wall out. I think whenever Wall has come on, he's looked really good, to be honest. I think it's only a matter of time before he starts again. I think he probably should be. As much as I love Steve Cook, I think even now when he's been redeeming himself in that Liverpool game, for instance, you're seeing that he's not totally equipped like some defenders. I think McKenna's perfectly fine. We missed Niakate big time. I think if Niakate and McKenna are together, that's an incredible partnership at the back.
Mm.
We need to see that as soon as possible, but I don't think we will, unfortunately. Um, I'd probably stick with the same defence besides Lodi. I think Lodi did better against Arsenal than previous matches, but he seems to be a curse. Like we've conceded about 18 goals whenever he started.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous. I think he's looked better, but he's still isn't as good as even Nico on the left hand side, in my opinion. And obviously Toffolo's still out, I think. So we need to get Toffolo back. Hopefully he's not out for too long. But I'd definitely be playing Nico over there. And we obviously Biancon's injury that makes the options a little bit thin. With obviously not having Toffolo or Biancon or even Richards, like I think Williams works very well on the left, and it also I think our two best fullbacks probably are Williams and Aurier. And if you can utilise them both comfortably on each side, then I think that's what you should do. And of course, you can put Nico back on the right if you have to. But I'd probably put in Nico for Lodi. And as much as Kiwati's done well recently, I think I'd have to take him out and put in O'Brien if he's fit, or Mangala. I think I've seen people discussing Yates, whether he should be more an impact player or he should be starting. I've always backed Ryan Yates. I've done a few videos on my channel just talking about him in the past. I'd be happy if he starts 100%, but I do understand the calls to drop him to be more of an impact player, not to be negative about him or say he's not good enough. But if you look at the options we have, I think everyone can probably say that our best three midfielders are probably Mangala, O'Brien, and Freuler. As good as Yates is, I think those three probably are better quality players. So you probably would pick those three if you've been brutal about it. But I think the midfield is an incredible amount of options in that area of the pitch. Like it's probably the best for depth for sure. So that's the best three I'd say, but I'd stick with Yatesy and Freuler, and I'd probably put in Mangala or O'Brien. I love both of them. I'd probably put in O'Brien to be honest, because I think he's just a really, really important player. And I certainly would have to take Lingard out. I think he did better against Liverpool, but he went off a cliff again against Arsenal. So I'd take Lingard out, and I'd have to put in probably Jono or Dennis. I think I'd probably put in Jono. So I'd make a couple of changes. Nothing too drastic though.
aye, and that's the thing because I've got quality in that centre midfield. Like you could put
Yeah.
in Ogan, Mangala, or keep that same three. So it's really good that we have got that quality in there, and even you could go with obviously Dennis or Lingard up there, and even if you have to give like Dennis on the wings, like putting in, it's like
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with the midfield, like we're saying that Freuler, O'Brien, Mangala is the best in the team for quality that is. Obviously, I think we probably would say Yates and Kiwate technically are the worst, but yet we won a game against Liverpool with them in our midfield. So quite clearly, just because they're technically the weakest, it doesn't mean they're bad, which I think is an amazing strength to have. But we didn't even have. Well, actually, no, we had Freuler, didn't we? But the fact that we didn't have Mangala and O'Brien with him, and we beat one of the best sides in the world, regardless of their situation. The last few years, there have been. It's testament to the quality we have in that midfield, and it's a fantastic problem for Cooper to have. And I think it's a unique situation we're in. Like it's boring to keep talking about all the new lads, but like it isn't like Norwich coming up and they're just not good enough no matter what they do, or just teams like that. Fulham the last few seasons, not so much this year, where they just come up and they're just not good enough at all to survive. We definitely have the quality to do it. I don't think there's any doubt that we have. I don't want to keep saying this word as a joke, but we do clearly have quality in the side. So like it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and I just think it's about finding the right balance, finding what works best. And I think we are finally getting to a stage now where the team is actually a team. It's still a work in progress though, and I just feel we have to remember that. We can't just say it's because we're not good enough. I think we are good enough for sure.
you're gonna be a meme now. I'm saying quality.
It's just I just think we're talking about the quality of the side. Couldn't help it.
Yeah, you got a score prediction for tomorrow.
Yes. Based off this season, I won't be surprised about defeats, but I don't think we will lose. I think I'd probably take a draw against Brentford if we beat Palace, because I don't think we can take 2 points and Palace and Brentford. I think we have to be winning at the very least one of them. I'd take 4 overall. Even if we don't, I don't think it's disastrous, but it's just not at all ideal not winning either of these games. You know, they're both very good teams, but compared to some of the teams we could play against, they are technically easier. Technically,
Mm.
um, but I don't know. I feel I'd take a draw against Palace more than Brentford, but I'll go with a 1-0 win to Forest. I-
Hey,
I'd take that for sure.
I'd hit that as well. You got anything to say about socials?
Yeah, come over and subscribe to Rads, everyone. I've nearly got 4,000 subscribers. So if you could just get that number up for me, that would be excellent. And obviously subscribe to Talk Forest TV. And yeah, live to see it up the Reds.
Up the words. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yes, so I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys. Do hit the subscribe button. I'd like to say thank you for watching.